Today, looking at the birth of Christ. I don't know if you know or not, it's Christmas. Retail shops have been telling you that since September. It's finally here. And so for the rest of the month, we're going to talk about Christmas. I think it's probably, I'm not the sharpest minister in the world, but getting around Christmas time, I figure I probably ought to start preaching about Christmas. So that said, what I want to do today is come from an angle that maybe you've never heard before, angle that, quite honestly, I've never really preached from before, but identifying about Christmas, about Christianity, understanding what it is that separates us from other religions. Talking about Christmas, celebrating the birth of Christ, what exactly does that mean? Well, it means that as a Christian, it means that our Savior has come to the earth. It means that our Savior has arrived. But what does that mean to others? So what I did is I went online and I looked at 3 of the other major world religions, including Christianity, top 4 major religions in the world, quote-unquote religions in the world, including Christianity. I looked at Judaism, Buddhism, and Islam. And went off the website, Googled it, looked at the top 1 or 2 websites that each religion had, and looked at the different qualities or principles or foundational thoughts or whatever from each religion. And I'm not going to read everything I found, but I do want to hit some highlights. So first, I want to talk about Judaism. Okay? Now, pull this up off of Torah.org. 13 foundations for Jewish belief. Again, I will not read all 13, but we'll hit some highlights. Now, let me say this. I think a vast majority of you know that I'm a life coach, and whenever I meet with people, one of the things that I say over and over and over and over and over again is, it's not about judgments. We're just gathering information at this point. Okay? So as we pull this together, this is not about me saying to you right now, they're inferior or there's something wrong with them or look at how stupid this is. That's not even on the table right here. What we're doing here is we're gathering information about what other religions are teaching. Again, off their website, 13 foundations for Jewish belief, looking at the religion of Judaism. Again, just hit some highlights. One of the foundational beliefs is that the existence of the world, or any part of it, is dependent upon the existence of the single, unique Creator. But the existence of the Creator, the Master of the universe, is not dependent upon anything He's created. Another foundational principle, that God has no body, or no physical aspect, nor is His power that of a physical body. This principle builds on the logic of the previous one. If God were to have a body, it would limit Him to the confines of that body, and therefore He would not be God, He would not be infinite, would not be incomparable in the same way. There are many places in the Bible where God is described as stretching out His hand or doing some other similar physical action. These are only figures of speech or anthropomorphisms. They are sublime actions couched in words that humans can understand. In other words, it's written. Whenever one of the writers tries to explain what God is doing, he writes it in a way that you and I will understand. God doesn't literally have a hand that He stretches out, but it's an action that you and I can understand. Another one of the foundational beliefs is idolatry. There is no individual or power besides God whom it is fitting to worship or serve, even to worship or attribute independent power to intermediaries like angels or human beings or stars or planets. All that is strictly forbidden. Such worship is in the category of idolatry. God created the universe and every single one of its parts. It is to Him that we owe all of our gratitude and all of our subservience. Which, by the way, as I'm reading this, I want to take note. The Jews understand that to pronounce God's name Yahweh, you're not to do that. In the original language of Hebrew, there is no vowels. So as I'm reading this, the word I'm using for God, they have written G/D. Because they will not put out the full name of God. Because there is no O. Okay? Another one of the beliefs that you will catch actually reading it. Another one of their foundational beliefs is the prophecy of their teacher Moses, through whom the Torah was translated and transmitted on Mount Sinai. The prophecy of Moses is greater than all other prophecies in 4 ways. Number 1, it was not heard through any intermediary, through an angel or cloudy vision or anything like that. This prophecy given to Moses was directly from God on Mount Sinai. 2, it was always given while Moses was wide awake. He was in complete control of his faculties. Now, the rest of this, they changed from the Greek name of Moses to the Hebrew name of Moshe. Moshe was not overcome with shaking and dread as were other prophets, but was calm and alert. 4. Moshe had the incredible ability to summon prophecy at will. Other prophets had to prepare and wait until God chose to appear to them. Another one of the foundational beliefs. Since the entire Torah comes from God, one may not add to it or subtract from it. Another one of the foundational beliefs. God is aware of all of our actions and does not ignore them. Next one. There is a reward and there is a punishment for our actions in this world. Another one of their beliefs. The Messiah, literally the Anointed One, is a descendant of King David, and he will come, and should come, and could come at any time. He will be wiser than the King Solomon and possess the level of prophecy very close to that of Moses. And the final foundational principle, there will be eventually a revival of the dead. We want to look at another religion, that of Buddhism. Now this we're going to look at is 3 basic questions that they have on our website with answers. Question number 1. What is Buddhism? It's a great question. The name Buddhism comes from the word Buddhi, B-U-D-H-I, not B-O-O-T-Y. The name, I read this and Jason, I instantly thought of you. I don't know why. I don't know what to say. You and Mark, and it's funny that you guys are sitting together. The name Buddhism comes from the word Buddhi, which means to wake up. And thus Buddhism is the philosophy of awakening. That's very important to understand. Buddhism is the philosophy of awakening. This philosophy has its origins in the experience of the man Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, who was himself awakened at the age of 35. Buddhism is now 2,500 years old, has about 300 million followers worldwide, and until 100 years ago, Buddhism was mainly an Asian philosophy. It is increasing and gaining adherents in Europe, Australia, and America. Second question. The Buddha is dead, so how can he help me? Faraday, their answer. Faraday, who discovered electricity, is dead. What he discovered, it still helps us. Louis Pasteur, who discovered the cures for many diseases, is dead, but his medical discoveries live on. Leonardo da Vinci, who created masterpieces of art, is also gone, but what he created still uplift and give joy. Noblemen and heroes may have been dead for centuries, but when you read of their deeds and achievements, we can still be inspired to act as they did. Yes, the Buddha is dead, but 2,500 years later, his teachings still help people, his example still inspires people, his words still change lives. Only the Buddha could have such power centuries after his death. Only the Buddha. Final question, and this is a good one. Where do beings come from and where are we going? In part, their answer is, Buddhism offers the most satisfactory explanation of where beings come from and where we are going. When we die, the mind with all the tendencies, preferences, abilities, and characteristics that have been developed and confined to this life reestablishes itself in a fertilized egg. Thus the individual grows, is reborn, and develops a personality conditioned by both by the mental characteristics that have been carried over and by the new environment. The personality will change and will be modified by conscious effort and conditioning factors like education, parental influence, and society, and once again at death, reestablishing itself in a new fertilized egg. This process of dying and being reborn will continue until the conditions that caused it, craving and ignorance, till those conditions cease to exist. When they do, when you are awakened, instead of being reborn, the mind attains a state called nirvana, and this is the ultimate goal of Buddhism and is the very purpose of life. People want to know, what's the purpose of life? Buddhism teaches very specifically the purpose of life is for you and I to be able to mentally get to a place of awakening where spiritually we will overcome the lust and the cravings and the ignorances that we have, and thus be able to reach a mental state of nirvana, and thus spiritually be able to transcend this world. Third religion, the religion of Islam. 6 articles of faith that they hold on dearly. Number 1, that there is a God.